Well, Jen, you have a phrase that you've always taught us in class is that design your life the way you want it. And this touches on the point of like, we are inundated with so many messages about how we should be as South Asian women, as other women. So, would you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, I just think you have to know who you are and know what you want in this lifetime, because if you don't, no one else will. And so, to that point, the first part of it is know who you are. I know who I am. I'm 40 years old. I'm wired a certain way. There's certain things that are not going to change. I'm a perfectionist. When I do something, I do it with 1,000% of my heart and my soul. And that is how I ran my business. And it was 100% word of mouth for 10 years. And I'm so proud of that, because I don't know that many business people. I can't tell you how many came to me constantly. People who were way more famous than me, who were experts on the morning show, the Today Show, had book deals, and said, so can I just find out, how do you have so many clients? And so I really prided myself that that's how I delivered. And I didn't want to diminish the quality. And when my daughter was born, and I hit this magical number of clients where my system started to break, I was like, I got to shut this down. And I shut it down in like a day. And that is not the way this perfectionist likes to roll, but I had to do it. And it was part of my journey to accept that I'm imperfection. I'm imperfect, and that life is messy sometimes. And even for those clients that project a lot of mother stuff on me and felt abandoned, I had to be okay and trust that that was their process too. And it wasn't personal. I had a lot going on, and if I could have hung in there, I would have. The other part is know what you want. Yeah, in this lifetime, I always say this, to the other point though, there are other people like, I have friends that like to do it all, and there's no right or wrong. I just want to say that there really isn't. We're all wired differently, and they like to do it all, but they're okay. They're really at peace with doing it good enough. And so, know who you are and then honor that. So if you want to do it all, that's great, but be at peace with good enough is good enough. I hired a consultant when everything started to like tumble, and she said, okay, Jen, we're going to learn good enough is good enough. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. I'm not wired that way. So know who you are, and then know what you want is, there are a million things in this world to do, right? You could have children, you could have a marriage, you could have a business. You really have to know what is priority for you, not what your parents want you to make priority, not what your husband might want to make priority. You have to know, what are my priorities, and then give your time and attention to that one or two things. I think when you don't know what priority is, you keep like, your life's like going around and around like you're in a hamster wheel. You know what I mean? You do a little this, a little that, and you're like, I used to have clients all the time come to me, and they'd be working on 10 goals at once. And they'd come back 2 years later and say, why am I no farther along? And why is she so far along? And I'd say, look at her. She's focused like laser light on one and two things. And in 2 years, she's done more than you've been able to do in 10 years, because you're trying to juggle too many things. So really know what's priority for you, Yeah.
And you are designing your life the way you want it now, and that you've taken this break, and you know that you're going to return to work.
Yes, I would like to be more, in the spirit of being authentic and vulnerable tonight. I'd like to be more okay with my choice. I do feel I struggle a lot, because I feel like I was called to do what I do, and I love it, and I miss all of you girls, I miss the community of women, and honestly, to this day, it's 18 months, I still get emails every week, when are you coming back? And it breaks my heart. I can't even respond because I don't have an answer. Mm-hmm. So that is something I am genuinely struggling with. I don't question my decision at all. I struggle with the part of me that is itching to get back, and the universal messages that are being slam dunked to me daily to say, it is not time, stand back, because I'm trying to make things happen.
Sure.
And I'm really getting clearly, finally, 18 months later, that it's just not right now.
I think one of the questions that a lot of people said, well, oh, what's September Lady Drinks going to be about? And I'm like, well, it's about being a mompreneur. But that does not necessarily mean you're going to walk away from this panel not having some pearls of wisdom that you can take into your life, even if you're single. And one of the ones that you said on the phone to me is that you can grieve the loss of the identity that you had before. And if that's going from Seattle to New York, or if that's becoming single to married, if that's becoming a parent, it's okay to take that time to grieve.
That is a big one. I'm so glad you brought it up, because I couldn't help myself. I made a little handout for anyone that would like one tonight, and I was harping on that one because I think a big lesson. You know, my business was like my firstborn child, really, and it was this beautiful thing that happened with effortless ease, and it just kept growing and evolving, and it was effortless, and it just spiraled and spiraled, and I had this day. I hired somebody 18 months ago before I stopped. For 6 months before I hired someone, I started delegating off, and it was way more work to start to teach someone and employ. And as I'm doing this with a baby on my boob, with one hand on the keyboard, with the phone, like literally, this was my life. And I'm thinking, just get through it. You're training. You're going to delegate up. I am having this awakening that my systems are broken, and that the systems that served a couple of hundred women aren't serving 1,000 women. And we are screwed, you know, like I was like, oh my God. And I applied the same, you know, advice I would give a client. When in doubt, wait it out. And I had to wait until until I was clear one day. I said, we got to shut this down. And I didn't realize it, but right after that, I booked a trip out to California. I went to the Chopra Center. And the plan was just for a little R&R to meditate and relax. And every time I got into this baby pose in the yoga class, I burst into tears. And I had so much grief work to do. And this is a problem in our culture because, again, if you trace back, you know, other cultures that have been around for thousands of years, they have rituals. And I truly believe firmly in watching people's dreams come true for the last 10 years at every turn. When something wonderful comes into your life, there is always something that has to be released to create that opening for something wonderful. And I cannot tell you the hundreds of women that have come to me in private sessions saying, oh my God, I've always wanted this. I've always wanted a guy. I'm getting married. Should be the happiest time of my life. Why am I so sad? Or I wanted this baby for so long. I was trying with IVF for so many years and I finally have her and I'm so depressed. Because when we gain something we want, no matter how wonderful it is, whatever we're releasing, no matter how sucky or wonderful it was, there's a loss. And I think we live in such fast times where we don't stop and feel. And I have really been honoring that process. As some of my friends know, I mean, I've really been grieving. And I feel if I can just hang in there and honor and trust this process, that not only will I be able to grieve the loss, but I'll make space for something so new and wonderful that it'll be far greater than what I've known before. So yeah, I think we all have to honor, you know, when you get the great boyfriend, you have to mourn the loss of the single life. When you get the baby, you have to mourn the loss of your girlfriend time that maybe now you have to give up because you're sleep deprived. So I think it's a big one, and I'm really glad you brought it up.
It's something that no one's really talked about in all the 30 days that we've been doing tips. No one brought that up. It was quite revolutionary.